So my company is Golden Island Beef Jerky, and the company started with my grandfather. It is a family-owned business, and my grandfather was from Taiwan, and he was actually going to medical school when World War II broke out. And at that time, Taiwan was a territory of Japan, and as with all young men at that time, he was recruited to the army to the military effort. And the interesting story was he is actually 10 kilometers away from when the second atomic bomb was dropped. So he was one of the first responders to that crisis, and we never knew in the family if this then later on affected his decision. But when he returned to Taiwan, to a country that was at that point pretty desolated from the war efforts, there was no electricity, the infrastructure was destroyed. He made a decision, a crucial decision that says, I am going to get into the food business because I'm going to follow my passion and work on food. So what happened was, because of his medical school training, he had some unique skill sets. He knew chemistry, microbiology that your average person wouldn't know, and he followed his passion for meat products. And so we were able to make a lot of innovative products using non-refrigerated methods to make products like jerky, sausages, and a lot of other things. And that's kind of how we got started in this food business. So with our unique kind of proprietary know-how of how to make a unique product in this jerky space, in the 1980s, as the immigration population of the Asians grew in the United States, our family was invited to come to the States and see if we could kind of make this product. So our family got our start in supplying these jerky products to the Asian market. In the 1990s, what we realized was a lot of our friends that were trying this product kept asking about it, loved it. And sometime along in the year 2000, what we realized was there's something unique here. The jerky market has been very uninnovative for quite a few years. Jerky is one of the oldest way of preserving meat. The tradition of jerky goes back to every single culture there is in the world. The Egyptians preserved meat. The Mayans preserved meat. Americans kind of have this idea of jerky as an American thing. It's associated with cowboys and the Wild Wild West, and the Indians preserved their meat. So it's a very American kind of product. And there hasn't been a lot of innovation in the marketplace. What we found was the people that really tried our product started asking for it again and again. And so somewhere along the line, we decided, gosh, I think we might have something here. This is not an Asian snack anymore. Perhaps there's an opportunity to bring this product into the mainstream marketplace. So in 2005, Golden Island Jerky was created. And as we were trying to decide how to enter into the mainstream market, even the name of how do we brand this, how do we position this, what do we do to start entering into the mainstream marketplace, there was a lot of questions that we didn't. So the jerky market in the 1990s was a very fragmented market. There was a lot of players, mostly mom and pop, very regional. Most people had a family recipe that was wonderful, and they would make that jerky and they would distribute it in their local areas to the convenience store down the street, to the grocery store, to the hunting and sports goods store. It was a very fragmented marketplace, and there was really no major player in that marketplace. In the early 2000s, Jack Link's jerky, based out of Wisconsin, started buying up a lot of these little regional players. It was the first sign of kind of consolidation in the industry. And at the end of this kind of mergers and acquisitions stage of the industry, by about mid-2000, there was really two major players from a national standpoint of view. We have Jack Link's out of Wisconsin, which owned almost 50% of the marketplace. And the second one would be Oberto's Beef Jerky, which is out of Washington State. Family-owned business, both of them, run by first and second generation business members. Both are private companies, so data is a little bit hard to come by, but there was really no national play. There was no public company that was really involved in this space. The typical consumer of jerky is what, there's a saying we used to have that jerky was Bubba food. There was this kind of perception of it's for truck drivers. It's a little bit blue collar. It's not your most sophisticated, glamorous food. So the target audience, very much dominant male. You're young, 18 to 34, maybe a little higher, because at a certain point you can't chew the jerky. So it's definitely skewing toward a younger audience and a very male-dominated audience. As the consolidation and the growth of the market was happening, there was another interesting dynamic happening in the marketplace. 2004, 2005, the Atkins diet with the high protein profile, the healthy snacking trend was just beginning to happen. And all of a sudden, jerky kind of took on a new twist. It was all of a sudden very popular. It was starting to gain popularity, not just with athletes and your outdoorsmen, but women that were looking for high protein, low fat snacks. And so the demographics of jerky consumers started shifting a little bit in the mid 2005, 2006. It was during this time that we realized women like a softer profile jerky. It was also a great alternative to give to your kids instead of salty snacks that are traditionally chips, high in fat, not the most healthy content. Jerky was a great alternative also to pack in your kids' lunch pack, high protein, low fat, some of the natural attributes of jerky. So the taste profile of jerky, traditional jerky being very hard in texture, extremely salty. Those were taste profiles that appeal to perhaps that male consumer, but very, very much not what the children and the new demographics, the women consumer, was looking for. The other interesting decision point is women actually purchases the majority of the jerky, but they weren't the major consumers. So they were making the decision to purchase for their husbands, for their children, for other people. And at that point, there was little product differentiation in the marketplace. I think if you put Oberto's product and Jack Link's product on a table, most people couldn't tell you which was which. There was not a whole lot of brand loyalty and not a whole lot of brand recognition, frankly, all around that space. Partly just really there was no product differentiation amongst what was out in the industry. So in this time, Golden Island jerky, the idea of Golden Island jerky started forming. Part of our distinct advantage is we have a proprietary method that makes a jerky that was very soft, very flavorful. We were more sweet in profile as opposed to salty due to our proprietary process. The low in sodium, another attribute to that healthy image and the healthy snacking was very, very important. One of the research out there, if you ask people, why are the three reasons you don't eat jerky? One is it's too tough. Number two, it's too salty. And number three is it's full, the perception, and at that time was true, was full of preservatives because jerky is a cured product and by nature it needs nitrites or nitrates in order to cure the product. And that was seen as something very negative as the food movement was also moving toward a more natural, organic alternative. And so we worked very hard at positioning our product as a softer alternative, a low sodium alternative, and then later on we really focused and we were able to launch a product that was actually all natural. So knowing that we have these attributes that addresses some of the reasons people aren't consuming jerky, we really felt we had a product that could broaden the category. We could reach the consumers and the demographics that weren't being marketed to by Jack Link's and Oberto's. And at that time, as they were starting to grow, all of the marketing message, all of the communications was still very, very much male-dominated, which is interesting because, as we said, females were making the purchasing decisions, but the marketing message was very much toward male. I believe around 2006, 2007, Jack Link's had a big advertising campaign, the Messing with Sasquatch campaign. Very much a male humor kind of approach. Oberto's had positioned their product as eat like an alpha male. Again, targeting after that very traditional male demographic. And Golden Island had a decision to make. Do we go after the same demographic, which we believe will like our jerky just as much, Or do we expand and target to this new demographic? And if so, what's the message that will appeal to them? How do we, where should we position ourselves with this kind of unique product? So your traditional beef jerky is basically taking a cut of meat, very lean, and you slice it, you marinate it in some kind of seasoning and spice, and then you dry it. You know, some people hang dry it, putting it on a hook in an oven. Some people rack dry it. And the very interesting thing is, in the industry, I remember there was an article at the time touting about this new company, and their whole competitive edge was it was hung jerky as opposed to rack dry jerky. Well, to your average consumer, that didn't really matter. It didn't really yield in a different texture. It just had a little different look. But companies claim that as a point of differentiation. Well, we were coming in with something that was truly different than anything that was out there. So our process was a very, very different process. We actually cooked our jerky in all kinds of different flavors. So first of all, we weren't curing dry. And when you think about curing and drying, curing is a nitrite agent in salt. The salt prohibits bacteria growth. That's why jerky can be shelf stable. But the result of that is you have an extremely salty product, and you have a high level of sodium in that product. And of course, the nitrite being an issue for consumers that were looking for an alternative, an all-natural jerky. Ours being cooked was not a cured product, therefore we didn't need to put the nitrites and the nitrates. We did not have a high sodium content. Actually, we tailored our taste to a sweeter profile. So we would tell people that this is half the sodium of your normal jerky. The other thing about it is we were cooking our flavors into the jerky. So think of this as instead of just soaking in the seasoning, our product was actually cooked in all this seasoning. Then the flavor is a very transformational flavor and it is intense. And because of that process, we were able to create some really innovative flavors. So some of the flavors that was in our core group of products include a mandarin orange beef jerky, rosemary thyme beef jerky, Cabernet rosemary. We were able to play with a lot of different things, citrus, chili lime. So we were also the very first ones to start coming up with what we called gourmet flavors, exotic gourmet flavors that started also appealing to the foodie trend that's starting to happen in the marketplace. At that time, Jack Link's or Berto's, I think we used to joke that teriyaki was kind of the latest innovation. And the interesting thing is teriyaki flavored jerky tends to be sweeter in profile, a little bit softer in texture. And that was about as far as the boundaries pushed to kind of take new flavors. The other thing that we would tell people is if you put on a plate all the different brands of jerky out there, visually, you probably couldn't tell which brand was which. And if you tasted 3 or 5 flavors, at the end of the day, you probably couldn't even tell me if that was an original flavor or a teriyaki flavor or a spicy flavor. One of the value propositions for Golden Island Jerky was, I joke, it's kind of like the Jelly Belly of jerky. When we launch a chili lime beef jerky, we expect you to be able to open the bag, smell and go, oh my gosh, that's chili lime. And when you taste it, it should be exactly that. The intensity of flavor, the experience of the texture, and of course the health attributes were the things that really set us apart. So we knew we had this great product, and we believed it was a product that the mainstream market could learn to love. However, it was different than what their perception of jerky was going to be. It is innovative, but is it too innovative? What would get people to try this when they haven't heard or seen it? And when they do, and the result is a little bit different than what their perception of jerky can be, is that going to be a turnoff? These were some of the first questions that we had as we explored the thought about how do we go to market. And so that was a little bit key in how we even came up with the name Golden Island. When we decided to come up with the name Golden Island, first of all, it was a nod to our heritage. Taiwan, where we're from, is known as the beautiful island in Portuguese, Formosa. And so it was a little bit nod to our heritage of the island theme. The Golden Island kind of connoted a Asian, Polynesian, South Pacific kind of feel. We wanted to do that to give a sense of somewhat exotic, to prepare and set the expectation from the consumer that this is not American. This is a little bit exotic, this is a little bit foreign, this is a little bit different. We also decided underneath the Golden Island logo and brand, we then put the words authentic Asian snack. And we decided to position it as such, first of all, because we felt the flavors we wanted to go to market with were flavors that people could relate to. So we started out with Kung Pao beef jerky. We started out with Mandarin orange beef jerky, as orange beef being a very popular Chinese food item that people could relate to. We had a grilled pork jerky, barbecued grilled pork. That people could relate to, barbecue pork that they pick up at their local restaurant. So we thought about what were the most acceptable, transformable, crossoverable flavors into the mainstream market, and tied it back into that Asian heritage as a way of differentiating ourselves and also setting that expectation of this is not your typical American jerky. There was a lot of discussion as we were thinking about getting into the mainstream market about how we position this jerky in the marketplace. How we decided to position had huge impact. It needed to be different. In which space did we want to compete in was a huge question. And what I mean that jerky is one of those things that that had a lot of crossover appeal. It could have been in the beer section. It could have been, because of the flavors that we're talking about, been positioned as purely an ethnic snack food. Or we could just compete right side by side with a Jack Link's in the snacks aisle at the beef jerky section. These were the questions that we had as we were looking to get into this space. Pros and cons to each of those placements, which was going to ultimately determine how we branded and which avenues we went to market with. So our final decision was we decided to go ahead and compete head-to-head with the other jerky companies in the snack foods aisle. The economic factors were really the key factors that drove this decision. In a marketplace, in the supermarket, the ethnic foods aisle is not your most popular aisle. It does not get a whole lot of traffic, and the turn per week in an ethnic food market was actually very, very low. It just doesn't get as much exposure as the snacks aisle. The snacks aisle, beef jerky is traditionally merchandised next to the chips and the nuts. And those are far much more popular places in the supermarket than the ethnic foods. So we thought from just an economic standpoint of view, we need to be where the traffic is. And so that's one of the reasons we decided to go ahead and be in the snack foods aisle. In trying to figure out what was the best distribution channel for this new product, we really had to, first of all, look for places that had volume. After all, we were a manufacturer. The price to be competitive, there had to be volume at the end of the games. So first consideration for us was volume as a driver to keep our costs low so that we might have a better margin to be able to reinvest back into marketing. The second thing was exactly this marketing issue. There were a lot of supermarkets, there's Whole Foods, there's all kinds of retailers out there. However, as customary for brand new markets, brand new products in the food space, there's usually shelving fees, slotting fees that are involved that required huge investment from a new product launch standpoint of view. we didn't have those resources to be able to launch nationwide. There were a lot of retailers we would have loved to be on the shelf of that we couldn't afford to pay the slotting fees to get on the shelves on. So the economics drove a lot of these decisions right off the bat. Number one, we could only work with retailers that weren't demanding a slotting fee. We were looking for retailers that would partner with us, in essence, who loved the product, believed in the product, and would actually give us a chance to be on the shelf by the merit of the product alone and not by paying our way in. So that immediately kind of set off on a couple paths. In the industry, there are retailers that are a little more innovative, people like Whole Foods, Costco, and to a certain extent, Sam's, Walmart. Your specialty food stores like H-E-B down in Texas and Gelson's out in the West Coast, Bristol Farms. There's a lot of the more high-end retail stores that almost specialize in finding new products. Those were going to be our best partners. So that was one of the first places that we focused at. The thing about that is there is a trade-off between specialty and mass market. And that was a huge trade-off that we had to constantly balance. Because of course, if you're in the high-end specialty, your volume tend to be low. Mass markets, that's where the volume is. But we were very, very selective and really had to be it was a very crucial point for us to decide which distribution channel we were going to go into.
Which one did you decide?
Okay. So,
Hold on just a second.
so based on the economic drivers, we decided to work with both Costco, Walmart, and Sam's Club. Those were some of the retailers, first of all, who were very interested in the product. You know, this kind of came down to the relationship with the buyers, and these were buyers that just loved the product, saw the potential in the product. Costco buyers have a reputation for treasure hunting. They love bringing new products to the marketplace, and we loved working with Costco and really enjoyed having them as a partner because, of course, volume from Costco was tremendous, and they were willing to put us on the market. The same thing with Sam's and Walmart. I mean, who turns down Walmart? and so the fact that they were interested in putting our product on the shelf, we were extremely excited that this was going to get us the exposure and really be able to make this into a national brand. So at the time we entered the market, the most popular size of jerky was 4 ounces of jerky, retailing at right around $5.99 at your typical convenience store or gas station. We decided at the time we had an option of matching that price, that was kind of the standard industry price of 4 ounces of jerky for $5.99, or we had a decision to make and say, well, since this is a gourmet jerky, if we were going to position ourselves as something alternative, something that was a little more gourmet, upscale, should we be pricing that at $6.49, or can the market sustain $6.99? Or do we do $6.99 with constant 50 cents off discount? There was a lot of discussion around how do we go in. One of the questions was we knew we weren't going to go in underpricing what was in the marketplace. We knew it needed to be either equal or priced higher. We did not want to devalue the brand. We felt we had better product than what was out in the marketplace. So it never entered into our decision, into our option to go in, let's say, with an introductory price of $3.99 to gain market share.
Okay. So what did you do? How did you decide to go about this?
Ultimately, what we decided to do is we actually decided to match the price of $5.99 for what was out there in the marketplace, but we came out with a 3.5 ounce bag. Our decision was we felt most consumers weren't going to be looking at the size. They were more price sensitive from a how much I'm willing to pay from jerky standpoint of view, because at the end of the day, this is an impulse item. And it is discretionary. It is discretionary spending. This is not a necessity. This is not eggs. This is milk. We didn't feel the market was ready for us to push that price upward. So the only other thing that we could do was reduce the size of the bag. So we had this great product that we would show buyers. We would go to trade shows with. And one of the questions we were constantly asked is, can I make that into my private label? There was a lot of interest from retailers to see if we would manufacture this product, say under the Dominix brand or the Jewel brand. This was a really, really tough decision for us. We would have loved to be in a Jewel Osco. We would have loved to be in Safeway and the national chains. And by going private label, this would have been a perfect opportunity to bypass the cost of the slotting fees and all of the marketing fees associated with building a brand. It was a very attractive alternative because, again, being a manufacturer, volume, filling up the production lines was a huge factor for us to be able to drive the costs down. There was a question of, once we go private label, does this devalue what we have to offer in the marketplace? Does it kind of take away our unique value proposition? There was a lot of question. I think this was really one of those central strategic decisions from a company standpoint of view about what was going to be the strategy for our company. What are we about? Are we a jerky manufacturer, or are we going to be a brand company? This was a very pivotal point in the company's history, I think. And at that point, what we had decided was the value, long-term equity value of the company has higher potential as a brand company as opposed to just being a manufacturer. So trying to decide whether or not we should private label this product versus creating our own brand and growing the Golden Island brand was a pivotal point in the company's strategic development. This was really a question of what was our core competency, what kind of company were we going to be. And we had decided that the long-term potential equity value of building our own brand was going to be better in the long term versus being a pure manufacturer of jerky. So by 2006, we had our products in Walmart and Costco and Sam's Club, and a couple retailers, high-end retailers like Gelson's and H-E-B Market down in Texas. Our sales had grown double of what it was just a year ago. And so Golden Island as a brand was starting to emerge and establish itself in the marketplace. So as we were getting ready to launch this product and think about our entry into the mainstream marketplace, there were three really critical decisions that we had to make. The first one was, how are we going to position this product and this brand in this marketplace? The second was, what was the distribution channel of getting to market? How were we going to get to market? And the third thing is, how are we going to price this? And this, of course, is related to how are we going to position it and what was the price point that was going to be acceptable in the marketplace that matched with our positioning.
Can we redo that?
I forgot what was number 3. So. Thank you.
You stuttered back.
I did.
I don't think it's going to look good.
Okay,
Trying to
let's try that again. I was like, what was number 3? Okay, let's try that again. Thank you.
We can do the whole thing or
Okay, let me start over on
that's
that. Let's do that again. So as we were getting ready to bring this product to the mainstream marketplace, we had 3 really crucial decisions that we had to make.
Can you do it again without mainstream marketplace? Because I mean, one of the decisions
That's
how
true.
to position whether it's a mainstream or not.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, sorry.
So as we were getting ready to bring this product to market, we had 3 crucial decisions that we had to make. The first was, how are we going to position this product? And related to that, how would we price this product in the marketplace?
Sorry.
You'd rather me put that as number 3?
No. The order doesn't matter, but can you talk about the brand?
How to position the brand.
Because it's really one is branding,
Okay.
Pricing and distribution.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope.
Because
It's
this is kind
perfectly
of
fine.
what
It is. It sets up your whole
sets
case.
up the assignment.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So as we were getting ready to bring this product to the marketplace, we had 3 crucial questions that we needed to decide on. The first was, how are we going to position this brand? how do we position this brand in this marketplace? The second question was, how are we going to go to market? What was the distribution channel that we were going to use? And the third is, how do we price this product that is new in this marketplace? And these were three crucial decisions that we had to make as we were getting ready to launch this product. So as we were thinking about positioning the product in a couple different ways, one of the ways we were thinking about was just a very clean, healthy, playing to the healthy attributes of the product, as opposed to, say, the flavor or our ethnic heritage. So this is one of the packages that we had come up with that kind of just talks about the all natural, the protein ingredients. This was more of a health play. This positions the product as a healthy snack. Alternatively, if we had positioned it as a ethnic snack, you'll see that this is a lot more of an ethnic packaging. We have the Golden Island logo with somewhat of this kind of Chinese insignia in between. We have, Korean barbecue, of course, very ethnic flavor with the sesame seeds and the onions and this grill behind. We talked about the product attributes, but overall the design, the aesthetic of the packages is a very ethnic feel, and this is part of the decision points that we had to make. Do we want to go with something that's a very ethnic feel and position it as an ethnic product, or do we want to position it as a jerky that is healthy and go after that healthy, conscious snacking demographic? So we decided to go with the more ethnic product. Part of the reason for that is because it was authentic. It was authentic to our heritage, and we felt that the authenticity of the brand was a huge value proposition for us. We weren't pretending to be authentic. We were truly authentic. And it allowed us to showcase the exotic flavors, the different flavors. We felt it really did a better job of playing up what was truly unique about the product.
One more question. You said this position as authentic, but it did not end up on the authentic in the authentic food style.
Yes.
So if you can address that, so we
Okay.
want to have something ethnic, but positioned in the mainstream aisle, snack aisle. Right. I mean,
Why didn't we do that? That's a good question.
well, I mean, but
We positioned it as an authentic Asian snack, but in the mainstream aisle.
yes. So something that because so that there's
Clarity.
Because professor, I see that. Why is it set here? So I'm just trying to make sure the story somehow comes together, and it's actually a very interesting proposition you have in the snack aisle rather than the ethnic aisle, but it still has the ethnic
Identity.
identity. Yes. So if you can just mention this, don't have to explain why.
Okay.
What we ended up doing, you explain why you want
Okay.
the snack aisle already.
Okay.
You explain why you want it to be ethnic food because it's who you are. Just if you can just have one
Tie it
sentence
together.
saying so.
Ultimately, what we decided to do was position it as an authentic snack, but in the snacks aisle.
Snacks aisle for the volume.
Okay.
Authentic.
Okay.
Basically ethnic because this our
It's true to who we are.
There's basically the authenticity of the brand.
Understood.
And mainstream aisle because it's the
That's where the volume is. Okay. So ultimately, what we decided to do was position the brand as an authentic snack, because this we felt was true to who we are and showcase the true unique features of the product. But we also decided to position it in the snacks aisle instead of in the ethnic foods aisle, purely because of the volume that the snacks foods aisle generates, and we felt that that's where we needed to be.
Try it one more time.
Okay. Let me try again. Let me think about that.
Yeah. Try it this time without saying so.
Okay,
In the beginning, you go, so this is just,
understood.
yeah.
We ultimately decided to position this product as an authentic Asian snack. This was true to our heritage. We felt this brought authenticity as a brand, But we also decided to position it in the snacks aisle instead of the ethnic foods aisle because it could be an authentic snack that is ready for mainstream snacking. We decided ultimately to position the brand as an authentic snack food, Asian snack food. We felt this was true to our heritage and the brand authentic, let me try that again.
Take a breather.
It's a long day.
Okay.
Maybe you want some jerky to try.
We have a bet in my house about how long before I pay for jerky. So we sold the company, just so you know. So this is, I no longer get access to free jerky. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, don't start with so. So I'm starting with.
Start with anything you like.
We decided to position the product as an authentic Asian snack. We felt this was true to our heritage. We brought authenticity as a brand. And we also decided that the placement of the product should be in the snack foods aisle for the volume.
Very good. Okay. Yeah.
That was the KISS version. In 2006, we were very excited because our product made it to the shelf of Walmart. And initially, we were expecting this to be a great volume. We finally made it to one of the largest retailers. Actually, Walmart sells more jerky than any other retailer in the United States. So this was a big opportunity for us to finally be able to get on the shelf of Walmart. In fact, the Walmart buyer has said this was the most innovative product he's seen in the jerky market space. So he too had great expectations and excitement for this product. But a couple months into the launch of our product in Walmart, we were noticing the numbers weren't there. In other words, the repeat customers, the repeat orders weren't there. Walmart also has one of the most sophisticated order tracking, sales tracking systems in the world, where they know by minute which bag of jerky sold in which store. And we as vendors actually have access to this data. So we were able to track, and what we realized was nothing was selling, or certainly it wasn't selling to our expectations. In a Walmart, for the jerky category, the standard at that time was we expected to sell about $20, which would have been about 4 bags of jerky per week. In order to stay on the shelf per SKU, you need to sell about 4 bags of jerky per week. We were doing maybe 1 or 2, 3 months in. This is a big, big problem. So as the sales of the jerky was not up to expectation, and we saw this starting to happen, we were very concerned. And there was a number of questions raised about, well, why is it not selling? There was a number of possibilities. Is it possible that the product is sitting in a warehouse somewhere and that it didn't make it onto the shelf? Is it possible that it never got displayed? Is it possible that it's sitting on the shelf, but the package is not attractive enough? It is, after all, an unknown brand, a new product, and maybe people just aren't noticing it. It's not attractive enough. Or maybe people see it, but they don't know what's inside. Maybe there's something about the packaging that's turning them off. Or is it the product itself? What is chili lime beef jerky? What is that? I don't know, and I'm unwilling to spend $5.99 to try. Is it a pricing issue? There was a lot of questions around why is it not selling? And frankly, we didn't have a whole lot of data to be able to tell us one way or another. So I'll tell you what we did, and then maybe we can work that. The first thing we did was I sent people out to the market. Go to every single Walmart.
So maybe,
Do you want me to?
yeah, so
Oh, okay.
we're recording like what you did,
Okay.
and we'll insert it back.
Okay. So we needed a plan of action. This was a crucial opportunity that we couldn't afford to mess up. It's very hard to get our product on the shelf. The last thing we wanted to see was a failure in this launch, in this very crucial account. And so the first thing we needed to do was find out what was the problem. The lowest hanging fruit was, first of all, did our product even make it onto the shelves? We assume it's in the stores, but what if it's not? Is there a possibility there were stores where there was zero movement? So we sent our team out into those stores that we saw there was no sales generated. Go look in the stores and find if you can find our jerky. And what we found was some of the stores didn't have the jerky. It's in inventory, it's in a back room somewhere, it never made it onto the shelf. So first of all, there was a logistics problem that we needed to resolve. The second was there were other places where it did make it on the shelf, but in a Walmart where there's 20,000 SKUs and people pick up something and put it away, Walmart wasn't the best at putting things back to where they belong. There were lost jerky in the store of Walmart, and this also attributed to some of those lost sales. Perhaps there's a jerky found now next to a shampoo bottle. So this was another issue that we found in dealing with Walmart. The third thing is just, it was on the shelf, it just wasn't moving. And so we talked to some people and we really could, actually I need to stop here. So we recognized there were some logistic issues in the product being actually available and on the shelf. But those were minor cases. Those were the exceptions and not the majority of the rule. So we still had a bigger problem to address. Why is the product not selling through if it is on the shelf? This is part of that. Is it packaging? Is it the price? Is it the product attribute itself? Is it maybe it's just not attractive to the Walmart consumers? And so we had debated on whether or not we needed to do a promotion. Do we need to do a coupon? What are the options we have at this point? And what we ultimately decided is that, I'm so sorry, you want, okay. Part of the analysis that we did is we did have other accounts. We were actually very successful in some of the other accounts at this point. Golden Island Jerky was doing great at Costco, where we had opportunity to sample the product, where we had direct feedback from consumers. And all of our feedback told us, once you sample the product, this is a product that people like. Once they tried it, the repeat buying rate was extremely high. We had extremely high loyalty amongst the consumers that tried it once. And so our conclusion had to be that the Walmart consumers just have not had exposure to this product. And the question is, are we going to spend a lot of advertising dollars to educate this consumer? I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. The other part is about whether or not, I kind of want to lead it to, we're a gourmet jerky, so Bubba at Walmart isn't, your Walmart demographic is a lower income demographic that ultimately wasn't the right place for us to be for a gourmet higher end position product. So that's kind of where I want to get to, but I'm not sure how you want me to. As we analyzed the situation at Walmart, what we realized was there was two crucial key points to being successful at Walmart that was not happening, and thus the numbers were not up to standard. So the two issues was, number one, this was a brand new product that is a little bit different than anybody's expectation of what jerky can be. And what we found is the key to success of our product is you have to generate trial. And trial for a food product means you have to taste it. You have to taste it to love it, and you have to love it to buy it. And so Walmart was not the best retailer to be able to generate trial from a taste standpoint of view. The second thing is the consumer that Golden Island appealed to was more of an upscale palate. People that were adventurous eaters, people that liked different and innovative, exciting food. This was not quite the demographics of your typical Walmart consumer. And so this also drove our decision of it wouldn't do us any good to discount it. That was one of the questions that we had talked about. Well, what if we just gave away jerky $3.99 instead of $5.99, drastically reduce the price in order to generate that trial? And we ultimately decided against that, because if this was not the demographic that was ultimately going to be the consumer for our product, then discounting to get their trial wasn't going to do us any good. And so ultimately, what we decided to do as a company was we actually called up the Walmart buyer and we offered to take back all the inventory that was still in the marketplace. And we quietly thanked them for their trust in us. And we did this to maintain that relationship. We felt that there was a problem and we as a company needed to solve it for the buyer. We did this so that we can maintain that relationship so that in the future, if we ever needed to come back to Walmart again, that door is open. Had we waited and just waited for the numbers to show up, for the buyer to call us and say, I have a problem, take back your product, it would have been a very, very different negotiation and it would have been a very different situation. The buyer was very surprised at our offer and very appreciative that we as a company was very proactive in solving a situation that was not going to work. And it really reinforced part of the relationship of if you're going to launch a new product and somebody's going to take a chance and believe in you and take a chance in that, then you have to partner together. And I think that's another really big key in if you're going to be that company that launches new products, you need to have buyers that can trust that you're going to solve it if it doesn't work. We decided not to do advertising because we felt it was not going to be the most effective way, and there was a time urgency issue that we had to address, and we didn't think advertising was going to help immediate sales at Walmart enough to get us out of the situation we were in. We also decided not to do discounting or couponing or any kind of price incentives. Partly because we felt this was not really the right demographic. The people that will try our product due to a price discount might not really be the clients that will ultimately be loyal Golden Jerky consumers in the long run. We considered a couple other options, but ultimately what we did decide to do was to pull out of Walmart. This was a very brave decision. It was made because we wanted to solve the problem for the buyer before it became a problem for them. We felt it was only a matter of time, and it was better that we acted in everybody's interest first, take some time to come back and regroup, and this leaves us the door open to be always able to come back to Walmart when we are ready and really know what the problem might be. We considered modifying the package to perhaps appeal to a different set of consumers. Perhaps there was some positioning improvements that we could have done, but this did not solve the issue of the product that's already out on the shelf and what are we going to do about the products that's already out in the stores. We thought about doing perhaps some displays or shelf talkers or being in the circulars, advertising, in-store advertising of some kind in order to help move the product off the shelves. However, with a big organization like Walmart, these are things that needs to be planned well ahead of time, 3, 6, a year out. And we were faced with there's product out on the shelf and we need to move in now. So there was really very little we could do that could have an immediate impact. And because of that, we felt then let's solve this problem immediately right now by pulling product off the shelf instead of letting it sit there. So we pulled out of Walmart in 2006, and as a company, we had to regroup and figure out what is the way to not only get our product on the shelves, but to get it moved off of the shelf. And we had come to the conclusion that the most effective way at the end of the day is we have to get product into people's mouths. People have to taste this product, not just know about it, but they have to taste it in order to buy it. And once we get the product into the consumer's mouth, the buy rate is extremely high, and the repeat buying rate is also very high. So we started looking for partners, and we thought about partners that could partner with us to get our product into the retail distribution channels that allow sampling. And in the retail market, there's only a couple places that you can do that effectively. It's very expensive not to only provide the free samples for tasting, but also the labor hours involved with having somebody there to cut up the samples, hand out the samples, and effectively a sales force right out there in the retail floor. Costco was the partner of choice for us. Costco has a great demographic of consumers that are slightly higher in household income, have some discretionary spending. It's also very common that everybody knows you go to Costco for some treasure hunting aspect, and they've proven to be very effective in launching a lot of new, innovative food products. And so we were very fortunate to partner up with Costco, and we ended up spending all of our marketing budget doing very aggressive sampling programs. So we have the little ladies out in Costco that a lot of people are aware of with the table, and they would cut up the samples and be able to hand that out to customers. And we also gave them talking points about what are the benefits and the features, and so that they can tell people about it. This proved to be very, very effective. We have very good results. Based on that, we also visited every Costco warehouse that we were in. We visited with their warehouse manager, their merchandising floor manager. We thanked them for their business. And we handed them samples as well. We found the people in the stores, if they knew about this product, told people as they were there shopping and built confidence about it. This was also another great relationship builder. And another point for us to get Golden Island onto the awareness map. And there were actually certain stores that loved our product and really wanted to partner with us, that they even put us in what they call the fence. That first long row of merchandising as you walk into Costco. Normally you'd have to pay for that, and we ended up getting quite a few fence spots, as we say, for free, just because we took that extra step to build relationships with each Costco's warehouse manager. The other thing that we got a lot of was also what they call end cap merchandising, which is the end of the aisle that is the most visible part of the store, instead of being in line. Again, typically you would pay for that, but because of our relationship and as people built excitement and actually were looking for this product in the stores, we had a lot of end cap displays that we were also able to capitalize, and we didn't actually have to pay for. On top of that, Costco had a great program that we could participate in called the Roadshow program. And the Roadshow program is actually where Golden Island employees go out to the Costco stores, and we set up this great big display, 3-4 tables, and we bring more than just usual products. We will almost create a show-like event where our people are telling people, and it became a great help for us, because we're in the stores for 4 or 5 days with our people who are knowledgeable and passionate about our products, and it became a great vehicle for us to launch new products. So normally in a Costco, you would get one flavor. We launched with the grilled barbecue pork flavor. At a roadshow, because you want to create that treasure hunt, that one-time festive show-like atmosphere, we were always offering 4 to 6 different flavors. And based on that, we were also able to, frankly, test market what was going to be the next hot flavor. And from the roadshows, we ended up developing a series of rotational items, as we say. We were able to bring in a second SKU in some locations due to the success of the roadshow item. So the partnership between the ability to sample and to go out in the stores and do road shows, along with the relationship that we were able to build by having our team out there and talking to managers, this became a great formula of success for Golden Island. And from the period of 2007 to 2014, we went from 15 warehouses in the Northern California area to over 200 locations, including Canada and Australia. So the epilogue of the story is Golden Island actually was very innovative and created really a new segment in this meat marketplace. We became known as the leader and the largest producer of this new segment of the meat snacks market, known as the premium gourmet jerky. Other competitors followed, and we were actually approached by Hellshire Brands in 2013, who ended up acquiring Golden Island in September of 2013, and is now repositioning Golden Island as the premier premium jerky company, with great plans to roll it out nationwide. Yeah, yeah, and
Make a package.
it's very very interesting. So that package yesterday, we started off with even a more Asian look than that. Then we went to Costco with that big pack. As we grew and we wanted to introduce new items that are not Asian flavors anymore, we felt we needed to reposition and broaden that. So we started dropping little things to modernize it a little bit. And it needed updating. And the updating at that point included the recipe cleanup of going to an all-natural product. And so we wanted to modernize that packaging to convey more of the health appeal. There was a little bit of shift in brand positioning. We felt we really needed a package that could walk off the shelves by itself, and with no advertising, no backing, that it's attractive enough that people see it on the shelf and they go, I feel comfortable picking that up. With an ethnic Asian flair, we didn't feel that was going to do it. So we had redesigned that and gotten pretty good feedback. That was actually going to be our package that's going out to retail, convenience stores, back to Walmart. I mean, that would have been a package that would have been ready to go back to Walmart when we were approached by. So we were just in the shifting of transitioning from the old packaging into the new packaging when we were approached by Hillshire. And I did some research last night. There's, from an investor conference that they just did last month, they just showed for the first time the rebranding again of Golden Island to another new mock-up and a new package look again, that it looks like they're going to be launching next quarter. I think we were at another strategic pivotal point, frankly, with our success at Costco. Our total sales was 90% with one account at that point. That's a very risky place to be. Copycats had already come out as well. We were frankly in another very strategic point. To complicate matters, we had grown so much that we were out of capacity. And to invest in another new plant with additional capacity, we needed to leverage everything again when we had just finally started making money. So this was a very, very, there was a lot going on. And also being a family business, the owners, which is my mom and my uncle, my mother is 65 years old. This was not the time to go all in again and leverage everything that you have. So in between there, we had this whole conversation about also succession planning. What is are we going to keep this for the long term? And we felt the risk was just too high for us to keep going. The amount of money that it would have taken to both build capacity and brand build, we just couldn't do it. We needed an injection of capital, so we had the choice of either going to market and bringing in private equity, or it just happened to be that we went ahead and sold to the strategic, bypassing that middle market altogether.
Last question.
Yeah.
What's next for Anna Cat after graduating?
Well, I realized that when I joined the company in 1997, we were less than $1 million in revenue. And it was a long journey, but I feel very few people have gone through the journey that I have gone, which is taking an unknown product, unknown brand with very little resources, and being able to take it all the way to an exit strategy to sell to. I'm very, very passionate about the role of small and medium-sized businesses and the journey of entrepreneurship and all the hardships and how much decisions there needs to be made in between that. So I think I have great insight and experience and empathy to offer to anybody thinking about startup, all the way to, I think the large companies have lots of resources. They can hire functional expertise for everything. it's the small business that are lacking these kinds of resources and knowledge. So I'm very passionate about how can I make an impact to assist that small and medium-sized business. My platform for doing so right now is what I'm exploring. I don't know what that looks like. Does it mean I start another business? Does it mean I do consulting, consult for equity? Do I teach? Do I write? Do I blog? Do I start a nonprofit to help small businesses? I sit on the board for California Manufacturing Council right now. Not only am I passionate about small and medium-sized businesses, I am very, a new thing that I'm really getting involved with is manufacturing. I think manufacturing, when that goes, Middle America goes. California, especially right now, has there's two tails to California. There's Silicon Valley and the coasts, the technology, always booming, doing excellent, great. But Central California, Eastern California, that's a lot like the Midwest, where industry is not where it is. Everybody has exited. It's a environment that is not business friendly, certainly not manufacturing friendly. And so the recovery from recession is below what it needs to be. And when we were looking at expanding and we needed a new facility, we could not find a facility. And the reason is because to go into a 100,000 square feet warehouse, we needed 500 parking spots because manufacturing is labor intensive. That's how many jobs we're providing. There was nowhere where we could find, because where we are out in the Inland Empire was all logistics. So 100,000 square feet warehouse would only employ, 20 people? They only needed 30 parking spots. We could not find a building that had enough parking spots, which tells you there's no manufacturing out there. So jobs per square foot. You can't beat manufacturing. And manufacturing isn't what it used to be. And this comes back to the other thing that the council is really doing a shift. The last 20 years of manufacturing help has been about lean manufacturing in efficiencies and cost cutting. You're never going to cost cut beyond Bangladesh. And when Bangladesh gets too expensive like China is right now, there'll just be another Bangladesh, right? And they'll go to Zimbabwe. So that's a never-ending road that you can't go down. We're starting to shift the strategy to it can't be about that. It has to be about value creation. It can't be about cost reduction. Manufacturing, in order to thrive in the United States, has to be about value creation. And how do you do that? That comes back to innovation and ideas and fostering and empowering great leadership and all of that. The other thing that I've been getting involved is local politics. A lot of people, again, that economic development aspect of things. And I've come to the conclusion that, they talk about the social problems of the county and all the places that are not recovering so well. The crime, the dropout rates, all of these issues, frankly, it's because people don't have a job or they're not making a living wage. And so I've been on both sides. I get that. How do you pay a better than average wage? Well, then you better be able to command better than average price for your product. And how do you do that? Again, you can't compete on price. You got to have some kind of unique value proposition that has value creation. So I think there was a Harvard Business Review quote that I love and I quote all the time now. Management practiced well can be the noblest of professions. And that's why I think Kellogg is so incredible. And when I hear Dean Bond talk, I think it's incredible. Leaders that lead and truly create value and do a good job and have a sense of stewardship and servant leadership about their organizations, if they step up, the poor should be taken care of by the community and the churches and the religious groups and all, or just your neighbor, if you would just help your neighbor out. I mean, that should be a community people thing. And then the government can, so instead of there's a lack of leadership in government, I think the desperate thing is there's a lack of leadership in business and in community. There needs to be community leaders and there needs to be better business leaders. That's my Anacon speech, and that's my speech.